Nobody tells you the real rules. They teach you to work hard, save money, and stay in your lane. But if that were truly enough, the world would look very different. The gap between those who accumulate massive wealth and those who struggle their entire lives has nothing to do with intelligence or effort alone. It has everything to do with a set of unspoken rules. Rules that the wealthy understand deeply, live by quietly, and rarely explain to anyone outside their circle. These are the unwritten rules of wealth, power, and influence control the narrative before someone else does. One of the most powerful things the wealthy understand is that perception is currency. The way the world sees a person determines how that person is treated, trusted, and ultimately how far they rise. This is not about deception, it is about strategic storytelling. Elon Musk built an empire not just on electric vehicles and rockets, but on a carefully crafted public identity. He positions himself as the eccentric genius who challenges the status quo. His posts on social media generate billions of impressions, shift markets, and shape how millions of people think about innovation. When he acquired Twitter, later rebranded as X, it was not just a business move. It was a move to own a platform where narratives are born. Similarly, Jeff Bezos purchasing the Washington Post was not simply an investment in journalism. It was an investment in the power to influence public discourse. The ultra-wealthy do not leave their image to chance. They shape it with intention. Warren Buffett understood this principle in a completely different way. He built his brand around the image of a humble man from Omaha who drinks cherry Coke and eats at McDonald's. That image of approachability and simplicity earned him a level of public trust that translated directly into financial power. His reputation alone is estimated to add tens of billions in value to Berkshire Hathaway, because people invest in him as much as they invest in his companies. The lesson here is clear. The person who controls the story controls the outcome. Before someone else defines a leader, a brand, or a vision, the most powerful people in the world define it themselves. This also plays out in politics and culture. Wealthy individuals fund think tanks, acquire media companies, and build relationships with journalists not out of a love for information, but out of a desire to set the terms of every conversation. When the framework of a debate is already shaped by the wealthy, even the opposition is playing on their terms. Narrative control is the invisible hand that moves markets, shifts public opinion, and determines which ideas becomes mainstream and which ones disappear. Leverage is the real currency. Most people trade time for money. They work an hour and earn an amount. The wealthy figured out long ago that this is the slowest and most limited way to build anything. The real currency is leverage, using systems, people, capital, and relationships to generate value far beyond what any individual could produce alone. Jeff Bezos did not become one of the richest humans in history by working more hours. He built systems. Amazon's infrastructure runs continuously, serving customers around the clock without Bezos needing to be present. He structured his days with deliberate intention, scheduling high-priority decisions in the morning when his cognitive capacity was sharpest. He applied the two-pizza rule to meetings, keeping teams small and efficient, cutting the waste that drains organizations from the inside out. Warren Buffett spends nearly 80% of his day reading and thinking. To the outside world, this might look like inactivity. To Buffett, it is the highest leverage activity he can perform, because the quality of his decisions at Berkshire Hathaway shapes billions of dollars in outcomes. He once said that the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. That discipline, the refusal to dilute focus, is what separates those who build compounding wealth from those who simply stay busy. Leverage also operates through relationships. The wealthy build networks where a single phone call can unlock resources, opportunities, and information that the average person would never access regardless of how hard they worked. These networks are not built on transactions. They are built on genuine value exchange over years through trust. Mark Zuckerberg did not build Facebook alone. He built it with the right engineers, the right investors, and the right advisors at precisely the right moments. The network was as much a part of the success as the product itself. This is why the wealthy invest so deliberately in relationships, because each relationship is a form of leverage that compounds over time, just like interest in a bank account. The third dimension of leverage is capital itself. The wealthy understand that money deployed correctly generates more money without requiring more time. Real estate, equity investments, intellectual property, and business ownership all allow wealth to grow while the owner sleeps. This is not magic. It is mathematics, and it is a system most people are never taught to enter. Power protects itself, and so must you. Here is the part most people do not want to hear. Wealth and power, once achieved, are actively defended. The systems that exist in society were not built by accident. They were built, over centuries, by those who had the most to gain from maintaining them. Understanding this does not mean surrendering to it. It means navigating it intelligently. When Jack Ma, one of China's most celebrated tech entrepreneurs, publicly criticized government financial regulators, he effectively disappeared from public life for months. His company Alibaba faced massive regulatory consequences. The lesson was brutal and clear. Even extraordinary wealth does not protect against the consequences of challenging power in the wrong arena. The rules of engagement differ depending on where a person stands, and misjudging them can erase decades of work overnight. On the other hand, those who understand how to align their interests with existing power structures tend to thrive dramatically. Bezos built Amazon partly on government contracts. Musk's ventures at Tesla and SpaceX have benefited from government subsidies and regulatory goodwill at key moments. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's 2017 Ritz-Carlton detention of dozens of the kingdom's wealthiest individuals, forcing them to transfer billions in exchange for freedom, showed that even immense wealth provides no protection when political power turns hostile. Alignment, or at least careful neutrality, is a survival skill at the highest levels. But there is another side to this rule. Power also protects those who build communities around a shared purpose. Oprah Winfrey built one of the most enduring influence structures in modern media, not through ownership of platforms or political access, but through deep emotional connection with an audience of millions. That connection became a form of power no regulator could dismantle, no competitor could copy, and no market crash could fully erode. When she recommended a book, it became a bestseller. When she shared a personal story, millions felt understood. Her influence was built on trust, and trust proved to be the most durable currency of all. The unwritten rules of wealth, power, and influence are not secret because they are shameful. They are unwritten because those who know them benefit from others not knowing. Narrative shapes reality. Leverage multiplies effort, and power, in all its forms, is a system that must be understood before it can be navigated. The world has always rewarded those who learn these rules early, apply them consistently, and build with intention. The question is not whether these rules exist. They clearly do. The question is whether the choice is made to learn them, or to spend a lifetime being shaped by those who already have.